Okay, so let's talk about something that a lot of us are feeling. If you're a millennial or from Gen Z, does it ever seem like you're playing life on, I don't know, hard mode, especially compared to your parents? Well, you are definitely not alone. We're going to dive into what's really going on with the economy for younger generations right now.
Yeah, it's that big question, isn't it? Why does just getting by, let alone getting ahead, feel like such a constant uphill battle? I'm here to tell you, that feeling, it is not just in your head. It's real, and it's tied to this whole complicated economic story that, we're going to unpack piece by piece. And look, this quote from the source material it really nails it. We're talking about navigating an economic reality that's tougher and more convoluted than anything their parents or grandparents ever faced. That right there, it validates everything. It means the game has totally changed. So what are the new rules we're all playing by?
All right, Section 1, a generational squeeze. First up, let's just look at the symptoms. All the things that are creating this feeling of being squeezed from every direction.
And here's the thing. It's not just one factor. It's like a perfect storm. You've got surging inflation, making your groceries cost a fortune. Sky-high interest rates make any kind of debt feel like a trap you can't escape. Don't even get me started on housing costs. They're just astronomical. And get this, even our tech, which was supposed to level the playing field, now locks us into restrictive subscriptions or forces us into these endless replacement cycles because nothing is built to last anymore.
Okay, so that's the squeeze. Now, in Section 2, let's dig into how the very foundations of what we used to think of as a stable adult life, owning a home, landing a good job, how those things are basically cracking under all this pressure.
Okay, get ready for this number. 5,693%. Let that sink in. That is how much the median price of a home in the U.S. has gone up since the 1950s. It's a number that's so big, it's kind of hard to even wrap your head around, right? And it is at the absolute core of this whole affordability mess. But here's where the picture gets really, really clear. While home prices went to the moon, what happened to our paychecks? Well, median incomes only went up about 1,300%. That huge chasm you see between those two bars, that is the affordability gap. It's the simple math that shows why the dream of owning a home feels less like a dream and more like a fantasy for so many people.
And this isn't just about numbers on a chart. This has real-world consequences. When you're staring down that affordability gap, what are your options? Well, as our source material points out, a lot of millennials and Gen Zers are making tough choices. They're living with family longer, putting off those traditional markers of adulthood, not because they want to, but because they have to.
All right, so you think, I'll just get a great job to pay for everything. Well, that's where you run into another brick wall. We call it the entry-level paradox. It's this crazy situation where you go get a degree, maybe take on a ton of debt, and then you see these entry-level job postings that demand like 3 to 5 years of experience. How does that even work? It feels like a total bait and switch.
Okay, so for Section 3, we're going to peel back another layer. Because beyond the obvious stuff like jobs and housing, there are these bigger, less visible changes that have completely rewired the whole economic system. The fundamental rules of the game, they've changed.
Just think about the internet for a second. The promise, right? It was going to be this amazing force for democracy, free information, equal opportunity for everybody. But what's the reality we live in now? It's a space that's just dominated by corporate interests, endless ads, a sea of misinformation, and paywalls everywhere you look. It's like the free public library turned into a giant, confusing shopping mall.
And that leads us right into this really key idea, the subscription economy. Think about it. We've shifted away from owning things to just renting access to them. You don't buy software anymore, you subscribe. You don't own your music collection, you pay a monthly fee. And the result? It's this state of constant recurring payments. Your money is always going out, but you're never actually building ownership or equity in anything.
All right, Section 4, rewriting the dream. Now, I know this all sounds kind of bleak, but this is not a story about giving up. Far from it. This part is all about how younger generations are adapting. They're not just accepting the broken system, they're actively rewriting the definition of what it even means to be successful.
So what does this new dream look like? Well, instead of that old hustle till you drop mentality, there's a huge shift.
People are putting their mental well-being first. They're demanding a healthy work-life balance, things like flexible and remote work. They want to do something meaningful. And honestly, it's a totally rational response. If the old goals are out of reach, why wouldn't you create new ones that actually make you happy?
And here are some of the actual strategies people are using. You've probably heard of quiet quitting, which, by the way, isn't about being lazy. It's about setting boundaries and just doing the job you were hired to do, not a bunch of unpaid extra work. Then there's the boom in side hustles, things like driving for Uber, often just to make ends meet. And really interestingly, there's a new appreciation for the skilled trades, becoming a plumber or an electrician, jobs that pay well without a mountain of student debt.
So adapting is one thing, and it's powerful. But a lot of people are saying it's not enough. You can't just expect individuals to solve systemic problems. So for our final section, Section 5, we're looking at the growing push for real, deep structural reform.
So where do you even start with a reform that big? Well, the source material breaks it down into 4 main areas. Number 1, housing policy. We have to make housing affordable. Number 2, the job market and labor rights, protecting workers and creating actual opportunities. 3, the insane cost of education. And finally, number 4, tackling inflation and the overall cost of just living. And to make this more than just talk, here is some of the specific solutions being floated. For housing, it might mean doing something about big investment firms buying up all the houses. For jobs, it could be investing way more in apprenticeships and fixing those unrealistic hiring standards. For education, maybe it's subsidized tuition or some form of debt relief. And for our work culture, it's exploring things like the 4-day work week. As you can see, these aren't tiny fixes. This is a call for a fundamental redesign.
So this all leads us to one final big question. Is what we're seeing right now the painful birth of a fair, more sustainable economy? I mean, this whole struggle is obviously tough. It's painful for a lot of people. But could it also be the very thing that forces us to change for the better? Maybe by fighting for their own survival, Gen Z and Millennials are actually pushing all of us towards a future that's more balanced and works for everyone. It's definitely something to think about.